Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, thank you for tuning in once again to the Just Ask series brought to you by the Eagle Heart Foundation. We have a wonderful guest who we have been interviewing. If this is the first one, you should check out the other ones. Regina, pronouns they, them, really coming to the table and speaking loud about topics that should not be hidden. We need to start talking about them to relieve ourselves. This one, I want to ask you. So, in the first one, you mentioned Polish, Christian, Roman Catholic, all of this. So, of coming from a devout parental, you know, people in that household, how did you grow and develop into your own authenticity now identifying as a witch?
Well, I think a fair amount of witches like to call themselves recovering Catholics just because just because that's how it is. I remember as a kid, I remember asking my mom, I'm like, why do we go to church? Like looking for an authentic answer. And she's like, well, because we're supposed to. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really answer my question, does it? Obviously, you could think of something for that was, age appropriate language, but for me, it just never really set with me right. Um, but yeah, I went through the whole Catholic process. So I had, baptism, Eucharist, confirmation, and I went to a couple of different like mega Christian churches when I was in high school, and just it always made me feel guilty and awful about myself.
Mm,
Obviously, I was already dealing with a lot in general, but it just made me feel worse. And I'm like, I'm sorry if something makes you feel bad about yourself, is this really something that you want to give your
right,
spiritual, emotional, mental energy to?
correct.
Uh, so I went to Catholic grade school, so obviously it was very Catholic influenced. I went to public high school, and then I went to a Catholic university. Um, I got to take theology, which I thought was really interesting. I got to take philosophy, and obviously, because I was a biology major, I did mostly science-based courses. I went to Catholic mass, sang in the choir, did the things like that. But it was during that time that I actually started to listen to the homilies a little bit more, like actually focus in on what they're trying to teach. And it's just the teachings that I was listening to, except for maybe one priest who was an Indian man who was an absolutely delightful human being. Um, I just, I, it just, I just could not deal with it anymore. So I took a step back and just stopped going to mass, and I kind of floated around aimlessly for a little bit. And I met a friend who I self-identified very loudly as a witch. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Just wanting to understand what that identifier meant. So I started, listening to different podcasts. So that's where I found Waking the Witch by Pam Grossman. It's where I found Terror for the Wild Soul by Lindsay Mack. It's how I found the Missing Witches podcast. Um, and it's actually, I think back to Pam Grossman's in her introduction. She say, it says, and you might be one too. And after a while, and I'm like, shit, I think she's right.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's
So
awesome.
that kind of led me down the path of learning just whatever I could get my hands on. I've been practicing for about 3-ish years now, and I've finally come to the identifiers that I guess some witches like to. I call myself a death witch. And for me, being a death wish is honoring the natural cycles of life, death, and rebirth. And it's not just physical death. Throughout my life, I have felt that I've gone through different cycles of things where I was going and going, and then the old version of me had to die so the new version of me could come forward. um, when I started looking at death this way as just the next stage and whatever happens next, I started to fear death less. and
Nice.
started to just accept that it is a natural part of things.
So the death which is all about being able to move through transformation and transition without the fear of it. And I think that that's beautiful. It really does speak to what we've heard about your lived experience with a lot of a variety of things within the last few videos. So I find that very telling. Did you find then when you started identifying more and more with witch and death and that cycle and that process, how did that make you feel as opposed to what you were feeling with, I feel bad in the Catholic Church and I feel guilty and all of that? How do you identify with being that, and how does it make you feel?
It's actually kind of funny. So because I wanted to be like a biologist, a veterinarian, I have a deep interest in, ecology, animal diversity, and understanding how things work in the human body. Rational mind always loves to stick its head in and say, there's no fucking way. And then I'll be sitting and have I'll give myself a tarot reading, or some sort of dream that I had will actually connect with what's going on in my life, or give me some further explanation or meaning or thing like that. And there's just no way that all the synchronicity or the things that line up, you kind of just get that emotional intuitive feeling is how it occurs for me. I just have this knowing, and I'm just it's just one of those things that you can't explain to your rational mind. You just it's okay, buddy. You can come in and have your turn, but it is not your turn right now.
Yeah.
It's allowed me to just accept that while I'm a very, very good person and have a lot of beautiful qualities, I also have some kind of what society says is ugly, or the other side that we shouldn't honor and things like that. It has allowed me to accept myself as a whole person.
I love it.
And to embrace everything, because we all have those qualities, and it's given me this opportunity to just work with both. Being Polish, I kind of try to look into more Slavic traditions. Obviously, we're the one culture, Slavics as a whole, have the least written down.
Oh, wow.
Everything was transferred through oral traditions, so most of the things were lost, but through folk traditions that were carried on after Christianization.
Hold on, you froze again. Let's just give it a second to catch up. Let me stop okay, there you are. So
maybe I'll have some hilarious frozen faces. I really hope I do, because I love making stupid faces.
I love it. So through the folk traditions, what have you found?
A lot of just little things here and there. I've found a community of a Polish witch, actually, who I've learned a lot from, and just try to bring in some of that. And I also have been trying to get into green witchery and herbalism, and just understanding how, yes, we have so many modern medicines, but we can also continue using plant allyship and herbalism as a way to complement each other. I don't think they're enemies. I think they can complement each other. It's like you go to the doctor to take care of physical ailments, and you go to your therapist to take care of your mental ailments. And then, for others, you go to some spiritual institution to take care of your spiritual self, and all work together to create a healthy individual. And that's the whole thing.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, the beauty around your lived experience as being put in a strict religious background actually made you feel bad about yourself, but then coming into your witchery actually helps you with the life, death, and rebirth, as well as accepting your yin and yang, your light and shadow, you know, and all of that. I find that it's just really beautiful to meet individuals like you, especially, you know, with the millennials. You are our next elders. So way to go. Way to go.
Thought.
You are turning, yep.
Really excited to be a crone and just teach all the things and just cackle in my little forest village.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Regina, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for being so open and sharing your lived experience and your process with some truly wonderful information that a lot of people would not necessarily just come forth and talk about. I think that your voice coming forward and talking about it helps open up a little bit of a window, like, hey, I could do that too. If I find myself in one of these things, hey, there's other people out there. We're going to go check all of these things out. So is there any last words that you want to give us?
So I shared with you my Instagram handle and my personal email. I think one of the things I've been learning being a witch is we have to build community. So if anyone feels that if they want me to be their sounding board for anything, they're more than welcome to reach out to me. I do work night shift, so give me a little bit to respond if I don't answer right away. But other than that, I'm more than happy to be a person for them to listen, or if they just want to see my cute animals and my hilarious tattoos. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I will put your Instagram handle in the comments below on each of these so that people can reach out to you when you're available. You could turn off your phone. But thank you again so much. Wonderfulness. Namaste to you. And let's build community. I love it.